91.7 FM on the beautiful McAllister College campus. Special guest, we have SEER in studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, we're delighted to have you. Could you tell us a little bit about how you came to be playing the music that you play? And I'm using that term loosely because I've listened to a lot of noise, and I mean I love it, but it's a different genre.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. Definitely a little more abstract. I've only been playing noise and making noise for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've only been doing live shows since last summer. But I got started, my partner just had some gear laying around and was kind of like they're a musician, and they were like, I've never not dated a musician, and when we dated, they were like, I'm gonna fix that. So I was like, I'm your first non-musician partner, and they were like, not for long.
So challenge accepted.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
They sat me down with their drum machine and a pedal board, and basically were just start twisting knobs, figure it out, and that's kind of how I got going on that.
Did you play any more traditional instruments before that?
I took piano lessons as a kid.
I was going to say piano lessons as a kid.
Yeah, I'm sure that's classic, but no, not anything past 6th grade. Yeah.
And now, do you feel like you're fairly techie? Because I mean, what I'm getting to is asking, how do you even start with a drum machine in this, and what information are you hooking that into that you have?
I mean, growing up, I was very into computers. I built a gaming laptop for myself when I was 12, so
nice.
That kind of made sense. I wouldn't say I'm very technologically inclined necessarily, but I can figure things out. Google's really helpful.
Well,
yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way. I
Right.
mean, I think it's not a roadblock to you, and when you want to get something done, you can do it.
Yeah, for the most part, it seems like if I put my mind to something, I'll find some way to make something work. And also what I'm doing is just kind of what I've managed to figure out, I guess. I couldn't put together a song with notes and a time signature to save my life. But noise has a little bit more freedom there, so I don't necessarily have to worry about that type of thing.
Well, and the backstory is that Langan, you know this, saw you play, and then we went out the night or two after that. And so many conversations about this, because I used to see a lot of noise probably about 10 years ago. I still, if I have the opportunity, love to see it, but I spent a lot of time at Secret Service and we'll just call it F Mountain and some of those places, seeing a lot of different things. How would you describe the difference between, and I'm just going to say, to keep it simple, music and noise, because they're adjacent for sure, but they are different animals in some ways.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like to think of it like abstract art versus contemporary, traditional stuff. You have the masters, Da Vinci or whatever, making people, and then you have Jackson Pollock just doing his thing with paint splashes. It kind of is pretty similar in my opinion. There's a lot of it's a lot of times pretty abstract, a lot of layers and stuff, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to have as much form, although sometimes it does. It's a really wide-ranging genre. I definitely focus a little more on the harsh noise side of things, but it's an umbrella for so many crazy, awesome things.
So when you set out to create something, just literally, what do you do? Do you think about it for 3 days? Do you sit down and work on it? Do you have an idea? Are you super in love or in hate or
I'm not much of a thinker, admittedly. I don't
That's awesome.
Sit and ponder. Oftentimes my creative process starts with I find a sample or I hear something and I'm I need that. And so I'll just snag it really quick. Oftentimes I use a sampler on my phone and get a really over compressed recording, just blown out awful great quality for what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
awful quality, like, clip of whatever I want, and then I'll start chopping it up and playing with it from there. And then normally, like, once I have that little, like, building block, I'll, like, start seeing, like, what else I have in my, like, sampler, or what I have with, like, my other setup things to, like, kind of complement it, and I'll just build on it, sort of. Sometimes I'll take a recording and, like, be like, okay, cool, I like that, let it sit for a while, and then come back. Other times it's like I find something and I'm like, I'm knocking out this whole track in like 30 minutes. Like, it just, like, hits. It really depends on the inspiration and how much I'm trying to do. Yeah.
And when you play live, how much of it do you know you're going to play is things you've recorded, or at least put into, I'm going to, in quotes, say put into stone, and how much of it is just improv at the time?
I would say the general form is, like, set. Like, I have like, I have an idea of how long I want to play for, what I want to, like, get across in the set, and, like, roughly the samples I want to use. Like, I like to have, like, okay, like, this is a pretty solid way to start, this is a pretty solid way to end it, and then, like, in between there is a lot of improv, but there's a lot of, like, behind the scenes practicing at home, like, with my setup, trying to figure out, like, what things I can do that will actually sound like good noise or fun noise versus, like, just, like, really boring, like there's a line, I feel like, where, like, you know, sometimes you'll just make sounds and you're like, that's awful, but, like, not in a fun way.
But not in a good way.
right, yeah.
Well, I mean, you anticipated my question, because the question is, of course, is what is bad noise? Is boring noise.
Yeah, I mean, it's subjective. You know, a lot of people like a lot of different things.
Well, and I would say there can be a fine line between drone and boring noise. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's ambient for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, and, like, I mean, there's, like, even within those, like, genres, there's, like, a range, like, a spectrum of, like, okay, that's, like, really good, interesting drone versus, like, that's, like, oh, kind of one note. But different strokes. Some people just really like that type of thing. But yeah, for me, I would say, like, what I'm looking for is, like, dense textures and, like, frequencies that, like, really, like, get in your ear there. And if I'm, like, practicing or whatever and I'm finding the in-betweens where that stuff's not hitting, I try to avoid that for live performance, basically. Yeah. I
think that here's my thought is I'm very interested in what you're saying, but for folks who haven't really heard noise, I'm wondering if we should play some of your music now so they have something to base it on, because I love it because it's an experience, and I have a wide, I love the harsh, I have a wide berth of what I like, but yeah. So what should we listen to first?
Do you want to play the live set since we were talking about that, or do you want to start with one of the recordings?
Maybe start with the live recording that I sent you guys.
Yeah,
that's kind of like a snippet from my last set at Zora Darling, which you had seen.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be a good representation of, like, kind of what I'm talking about there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Here is SEER Online.
As he makes use of anti-transgender slur during a House Oversight Committee hearing. She was asking witnesses about the use of...
So this is directly from the show I was at? Okay.
Am I still live? Well, I guess I should say not directly. I recorded this album.
I have so many questions, but I'm holding on to them.
I have so many, but I know we don't have time. It's all the questions I asked.
People are not hearing us obviously on the radio, but they're. I really,
that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Cool.
They can hear us on the live stream, but that's it.
So, if you want to do an F-bomb, now's the time. If you want to say something nasty about your sibling,
okay.
Not on the radio, but this is fine.
Heard. You
and,
got it.
And your best friend's secret, neither time.
Gotcha.
You know,
That's one of our lawmakers. Love that.
I have all the questions that I asked you the night after.
Yeah,
this.
that I was gonna say you start driving in.
Amazing.
I basically attacked Ann at the bar the next night. I'm like, you know noise, answer all these questions.
Let me know who has the answers.
Probably again 10, 12 years ago, I wrote sort of not an expose, but on noise for Tennessee Daily Planet. So I talked to a lot of different. A friend of mine used to book a lot of the noise shows in town, which is how I ended up going to a lot of underground shows. And again, this is 10, 12 years ago. So it turns out I was younger then, and still I was like, oh, I'm too old.
Yeah.
I have to start going where you have to show an ID.
It doesn't seem like there's as much of a noise scene here anymore. Like, I was talking to Bill or House Pig, and he was telling me that, like, 10 years ago there was, like, a show, like, once a week at least, and it was, like, always a huge thing. And, it doesn't seem like
there's a lot of the Kitty Cat Club, there'd be, and then, of course, a lot of, Talk Mountain, and, Secret Service I love. House of Balls might have been a little bit out of, or Medusa, and then, there's just a lot.
My first show was at House of Balls, but that was when I duo. Yeah, we played out in the parking lot.
I'm glad no one like, Mommy, that's where I saw you.
Possibly, yeah.
I recognize you from other places anyway, that where I was like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But I can picture you playing, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Because they have the Beyond Wednesday series or something?
Yes. It was that. Me and my partner played that. That was our first show.
Okay.
Yeah. It was exciting. That would make sense then.
Yes. I knew that it would be. So like it wasn't the other place was the White Squirrel, but I don't think I
did play at the White
Squirrel.
You
did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were standing up and like, oh.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Everything's coming together now.
Yes,
awesome.
yes. I may have seen the other one as well, but I'm like, that's it. It was some there's a kind of a tribute or something along with it. Some holiday thing.
It was just around, like, the one I played at the White Squirrel was December 10th, and it was just like a noise, pure noise show. Yeah, It was cool. Yeah, really fun. A lot of people came out, which is always nice. Yeah. That sounds so much different. like out of these things.
Really?
Yeah,
In a good way or a bad way?
An interesting way. Yeah.
An interesting way. Okay.
That's good. Like Minnesota interesting or noise interesting?
Noise interesting. Yeah, that's definitely different. That's one of the things I always kind of find when I'm playing live is like each venue sound system will come out completely different, so it's really hard to plan for some of the weird inconsistencies, but sometimes you just gotta ride with it.
But you wouldn't know that until you got up there, right? Like hearing other noise musicians wouldn't make you hear that because it's not
right, because you don't really know what people are doing. You
right.
know, I know what my stuff's supposed to sound like. I don't necessarily know what other people's stuff is supposed to sound like.
Right, but you can hear an opener and be like, oh, the sound system is gonna lean this way because you don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
If I kind of get to a place where I'm like, oh wow, this thing has a lot of low end, then I can expect that my stuff's gonna have way more than I'm used to, and then I have to kind of account for that.
Got it.
That should be about it.
Yeah. That was SEER, who we have in studio. I love that because there are so many different interesting aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying, one of the things I found interesting, you were saying kind of when you sit down, one of the things you think about is how long it should be.
Yeah.
Which, I'm just going to, what does that mean? I just think that's so interesting.
I personally like to err on the side of a shorter set. I've seen a good amount of noise artists. Some of them, you can have a really cool thing going on.
Yeah.
If it hits the 40-minute mark, I'm tired of standing. I honestly just want to go outside and get some fresh air. For the most part, I like a shorter set. So I like to run around a 10-minute set at most.
So, naive new noise girl here.
Yeah.
Is it always one song per set? Or do you do sets where you can do multiple different ideas or songs or tracks, whatever you want to call them?
Yeah, I feel like most of the noise sets that I've seen, people generally have played like just one continuous thing. I don't necessarily know if like anyone would really call what they've played like a song, but you can totally like have like something that's like a more concrete like song that you're trying to play, and then you could end it and then go into another one. I generally do a continuous block of like 10 minutes, just to keep it going, and also just because like 10 minutes, honestly, when you're playing goes by pretty quick, it seems. So like, I feel like it's hard to like get multiple ideas into that, because you'll kind of like end up like looking at the clock and being like, oh god, I've been on for like 9 minutes already. I have like 1 more minute left, and I had like 4 things I wanted to do. So yeah. I try to play less though, and kind of with the idea of like having people want more. For sure. Like you hear it and you're like, oh wow, that was cool, I want to see that again, versus being like, yeah, that was cool, but like I got the idea, Yeah.
I always say I love foie gras, but I don't want a burger made of it.
Exactly.
It's like really rich food.
You need a tasteful amount.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I know exactly. I mean, I've often said, especially if you've got a bill, you're at a festival or something, and there are a lot of different. Some you will like better than others, for sure. And I'm like, well, if I'm not that fond of this one, it's only 10, 15 minutes. I'm on to the next one. I think it helps a lot to have those. It's like with art, the negative space. You see something that's very intense, and then you have a minute to soak it in.
Yep. Yeah, I think one of my favorite sets I saw at Fargo Noise Fest last year was literally 5 minutes. It was like, dude went up, did like a crazy cut-up set, done, boom. And we were just all like, what just happened? That was amazing. Yeah.
Saw that at First Avenue. It was Perfect Pussy, which I believe I can say on air. And luckily, I was on time for the first time ever. Not 5 minutes, a touring band. Not 5 minutes. But it was amazing.
That's crazy.
Because you're like, no, why would I?
Yeah.
Why am I going to touch at the Mona Lisa? What am I going to do with that? It was just perfect.
Yeah, driving, like touring and playing a short set, that's like definitely like a vibe. I feel like if I'm going to go out of like the way, I will end up playing a little longer. But just around town, it's like, I feel like 10 is perfect. Yeah. Like when we went to Fargo, we ended up only playing like a 12-ish minute set, and I was like, that was cool, but we did just drive like almost 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny.
That's just preparing you for having kids. What? I'm here for 2.5 hours of a pageant, and they're on stage for 2?
Thankfully, that won't be happening.
Well, there you go. Then you know already. You've already known the pain of it for sure. But I'm going to go back to the that we just heard. Tell us about how that. The commentary in it, the combination of commentary and sound, and from conception to birth. How did that?
Yeah. So the Mancy Nace track definitely came out of a little bit of a place of like anger. It's I saw the like people posting about like what she had said, which was the soundbite that I used there, and I was like, God, this is just like par for the course, of course. And like I was like, it made me angry, and it also like made me like kind of want to take it and make something out of it. So it's kind of like taking their like fascist hate speech and flipping it and using it to make some queer noise, which I think is kind of maybe not ironic, but
powerful.
Yeah,
it's powerful to use their words against them.
Exactly.
I mean, that is exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea with that one. Yeah.
I know you look like I know you have a million questions. So I'm giving you the.
I'm still trying to formulate them.
So you have the track that you want to start with, and then is that when you reach into kind of your back pocket of the sounds that you've been keeping and say this should, or do you think does it remind you of that sound, or do you think I want a sound that sounds like this or gives out this emotion, or taps into this vibe.
Like when I'm like building a track out, what I have kind of like, I'm always sort of like collecting samples, and just plugging them onto my 404, or keeping them on my phone in Koala, which is an amazing, very easy sampler app that I like to use. Shout out Koala. And I'll just like kind of like hang on to things, and then when it seems like something that would fit with another thing, it's like a puzzle, and I'll like put them together. I'm also a visual artist. I am like primarily in like collage and painting, so I feel like there's collage elements both to like my physical work and my noise. Like I'm kind of doing the same thing. Like I have a bucket of clippings and things that I would love to put on a painting, and when I'm working on things, it kind of comes to me like, oh yeah, that would look good there. And it's the same way. Like I'll have a recording and I'll be like, yeah, let's put that on there, see how it fits. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you, because I've seen your art on socials and I love it, and I was wondering if you see your music the same way. You just answer that.
Yeah, it's definitely very similar. I would even say the process is pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of go the same way where I find a cool thing I want to use for a collage, or a cool canvas, and I'm like that inspires me to start building something on it. I almost rarely never go in with like this is what I'm doing. Like I want to completely like form this idea. It's like I'm kind of just like I do something, sit with it, see what comes next naturally, and they kind of build themselves. Yeah.
So then my question is, how do you know when it's done? How do you know it's ready to record? How do you know it's ready to release and share with the world?
That's hard. It's hard with both paintings and with the noise. Is like, yeah, if I really just didn't kind of call it at sometimes, like I would just have it there and I'd be slowly making changes forever, you know? And for a while, like, especially with my art, I was like a little bit like, okay, everything has to be like super detailed, done. I didn't know when to stop, and I would say I was like overdoing it almost. So I've really been kind of opting for a little bit of a minimal approach, like less is more there, and instead of like trying to find more things to do, once I'm like, yeah, that's cool, I'll just be like, all right, run it. Yeah. But it is hard to know. And you know what? Sometimes too, I will finish something, think it's awesome, whatever, and then I'll go back to it a couple months later, again, both with paintings or music, and I'll be like, ooh, I hate that part of this, let me change it. That happens. Yeah.
Do you go back and change it, or do you let it, because at one point you thought that was it, so
Mm-hmm.
do you just...
With music, not really as much with my like published stuff, just because I'm like, it's out there. Bandcamp sucks to use. I don't want to go through the process of re-uploading something. I would rather like not. So I normally will just like let it sit there. Occasionally I've like reworked things, but yeah, for the most part I will like kind of make tweaks on things that aren't like fully released.
Okay.
Like we'll have like maybe a live set that we're playing with my duo Ask Serpent, and we'll play a couple shows and be like, yeah, we like this, but maybe we could do this part differently, cut this out, put this in. And so those things will sort of evolve a little bit. Yeah.
And that brings me to yet another question. I'm taking over here.
I'm glad. This is how this started. I said, let's bring in an expert, for sure.
I noticed at the Zora Darling show, there were 4 acts that night, and everyone was recording theirs with cell phones and video. Is that so they can remember what they did, or... You know, that's not something you see, like last night when I was at Green Room for a pop punk show. Nobody was recording that. We all know what it's going to sound like, you know?
Yeah, you mean the artists?
Yeah, the artists and just people in the audience. I feel like people were very into, and it could have been someone brought in by the artist, but just making sure the angles were right and everything was being recorded.
Yeah, so that was kind of a funny one. So Bill, who goes by House Pig on socials, is a local, like, documentarian. He, like, records, like, and photographs a ton of noise. Like, he's at, like, every tourniquet. He's basically any noise or experimental thing. Like, a lot of times he's there recording every artist's set in entirety and then putting it up on YouTube. Doesn't ask anything in return. It's just like kind of what he does, and it's awesome.
The gravy of the noise scene.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a couple other people that do a similar thing. Another person who was there was I believe Tim Michaels. And it was funny because I knew that Bill was coming because I had spoke with him the week before, but I didn't know that this other guy was also going to be there, so we had two people recording. And one of the people had like a crazy like audio rig too, so that was cool because we basically got like completely recorded versions of all our sets, but like we also got like two different angles of like, you know, all the like videos, which was neat. That is unusual.
Okay, so
yeah, it was just a weirdly like documented, like weirdly heavily documented show. I would say probably the reason both of those guys came out was because of the third act stud, who his name's Austin. He's from Moorhead, and he's been doing this for a really long time, and is just insane, as you saw.
Yes.
So like, yeah, I feel like he definitely like had some noise clout or draw and like got some people in there. Yeah, and then all the other artists also like just killed it. Yeah.
So then this takes me to another question.
Makes me so happy. No, I'm delighted. I am delighted.
If you're not recording it, you have no, like, it's never the same thing, correct?
Yeah. A
do
lot of times.
Do you enjoy that? Like, I guess to me, that sounds like anxiety.
This is where the conversation, I said, we got to get someone in.
Yeah. I like ephemeral art, so I don't necessarily mind if it's not recorded. I like to have a recording mostly because I'm still in the process of like learning, getting better, and it helps me because I can like watch what I'm doing and like kind of critique, I guess, and be like, oh yeah, I liked what I did here, definitely didn't like what I did there, what can I do next time to make it better. And it's also nice to have stuff for like social media, etc.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes no one gets a video and you're just like, yeah, I just ripped that set and we're done. Cool. Yeah. But yeah.
I can't imagine like a metal band being like that. If they ripped a set, they're like, who got it on video? Who got, like, you know, that's their first thought. And it seems like in the noise, maybe that's not quite the mentality.
It really depends on the person. Like, okay. There are some people that I know that are like, they want their stuff like every time. And then like I always appreciate people getting stuff on video, but I personally, when I'm recording people's sets, I feel like I'm like a little bit taken out of it because I'm like too like, oh, I have to get this angle or whatever, like, you know. So if someone's just vibing super hard and isn't like, you know, on their phone, that's totally cool. Like, experience it, you know. Whatever works, yeah. I'm just happy that people show up and, you know, are enthusiastic about it.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the questions I always used to ask folks, and some folks are more, they have a more predefined vision of what they want to play, specifically, for lack of a specific song. I mean, a track, we could say something like that. And some are just way more experimental with it. So it's kind of a two-parter. One would be, what is the difference when you're playing solo versus having other people around you? And I always think, especially if you're more experimental, the trust level of those people must be a sibling level trust. Like grown up siblings now, not.
Yeah. So I haven't played with a ton of other people. I have my duo Ask Serpent with my partner James. We've been performing for a little under a year now. And I would say with James and I, we definitely have things pretty dialed in. Like, that project is not a lot of, like, improvisation. There might be, like, you know, things that we do in the set to slightly affect things differently, but we're not, like, outright changing things, like, no new sounds or anything. We know, like, when we're gonna play things, how we're gonna do it, and we're both, like, pretty, like, on it with, like, the cues and stuff. But, like, with other people, I have improvised too, and that can definitely be challenging. I know some people do really like improvisation and, like, doing that with others. I'm medium about it. I've had mixed experiences. I do think it is really cool if you, like, have somebody that, like, really just, like, clicks with what you're doing, but it can also definitely be a little bit of, like, I'm trying something and this person's trying something and they're just not meeting anywhere, and it can be frustrating, and, like, you know, not sound as good as you maybe would want. But I don't have a ton of, like collaborative, like, playing experience.
No, and I just think it's just different ways to do things, and to play music with your partner, like, you're in each other's pockets to some degree anyway, you know what I mean, so that you probably can feel, you know, that feel the eyes on where to go. Now, you know, you know which way you're going to walk through the woods because you know each other so well, kind of deal.
Right.
But and it's just very different ways to do it. But I've seen somewhere and I know for sure it's experimental from A to B. These people have been in the same room together for, you know, 3 years. You're like, whoa, that's yeah. But I like the idea of it being controlled to the point of having an idea of what you're gonna. I really like the idea of having kind of a beginning and an end, and even I'd laugh when you talked about a time in mind, because of course a short time in mind. I mean, it was, you know, but
it's kind of a sandwich, like, approach, I guess, you know.
Right.
I got the bread and I know I'll fill it with something. Right. Yeah.
Or like writing a story. I know how I know the characters. I know what wants to, you know, the end.
You know where you're starting. You know where you're gonna go. Getting there might change a little bit, but yeah.
Should we play another track?
Yeah. Let's do one more here. Any suggestions?
If you want to go a little more chill, go with The World on Fire. It's like a flip of I don't want to say The World on Fire by the Ink Spots.
Yeah.
Or you could go with The High Priestess, which was kind of like my first track. I made that in, like, one sitting.
No, I'm hard decisions.
And
darn.
I like them both.
You said High Priestess was done in one sitting?
Yeah, I did that one in, like, less than an hour. I, like, heard the sample, and I could talk about, like, where everything came from. But yeah, I heard the sample and I was like, I need to use that. And then I immediately went home and just started going at it. Yeah, and it all fell together.
All right.
So we've got High Priestess by SEER on Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 FM in St. Paul. Here we go. I gotta fit that in every.
Yeah.
I was also looking at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was trying
good.
to.
Yeah.
Are we?
Thank you.
Please, like,
I have until 6 at, like, the like, latest, but
no, we'll get you out of here.
Well,
should get moving in the next 20 minutes or so.
Here's what we'll do. Let's chat, and then we'll start to play a song, and then you can skedaddle during the song if you want, because that buys us more you time, less of you having to be here. How's that?
That works great.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. My kid uses the audio says skedaddle. Damn you, Mom.
I also want to bring up your upcoming shows.
Yes.
Like that cedar thing.
Yes, yeah. Do you want me to wait until we're back on to talk about that?
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know you have other stuff, because you keep on messaging me. So you have other stuff, or just other shows in general for people that are interested.
Thought that because of your response to the show, as Zora Darling, you might be interested in our show on the 19th of April. We're bringing some friends from Fargo that are, like, hard noise. And then we have some people here that range from, like, kind of more, like, experimental, like, tape loopy stuff to, like, some, like, affected flute stuff, and then we're gonna be performing new music, me and my partner.
That's the one at the Cedar, right?
No,
No,
so
it's on the 19th.
419 is gonna be at Silver Plus.
Yes, because I was going to
and
ask you where the hell that was.
It's a house show in South Minneapolis. I will DM you the address.
Okay,
It's
I make
really cool.
no promises. My favorite vocalist of all time is playing Turf Club that night.
Oh, got
so,
you. Who?
Ben Nichols from Lucero. They're
Okay, not
a
familiar.
alt country band, which
Heard.
I do not like country, but this guy's voice is.
Sometimes it hits.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, but depending on timing, I
Yeah.
assume it'll go pretty late if it's a house show. Or
I think maybe a little on the earlier side.
Oh.
We're sleepy guys.
Okay. Well, in that case, I could
Yeah.
definitely swing by.
Well,
But yeah,
beforehand.
otherwise the Cedar's gonna be cool.
I will be at that one.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Boyder Car's playing with us, and Boyder Car is like noise legends. Like they've been
This
playing
now
for
opens
40
up a
years.
I know.
Whole new
I
thing of
think it's-
questions.
It's I
I know
used
you
to
live
love to
this.
write
I
about it. I
still-
used to love to write about it so much. And
Mm-hmm.
when I wrote for the Daily Planet, when I wrote for Riff Magazine, just because I found it so fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that you got to live kind of through like a more active like
and it's
part
and my
noise here.
good friend of mine from high school, but we're still in touch. He played the bicycle wheel, so it was that kind of
Yeah.
or
I have a friend that plays a box fan.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
I
that
have
kind of.
so many more questions again.
They're really cool.
Okay.
It's fun to see.
No,
well,
again, I was fascinated. I mean, this is the only show I've talked about to anyone.
Oh yeah,
That's
I mean
amazing.
honestly,
I didn't understand. I don't understand it, and that intrigues me so much. And you've
Yeah.
been so generous with your time and like reaching out, and
Of course,
like it makes me excited to dig in and go to the Cedar show and just keep on like
Yeah.
dipping my toe in. I don't think it's quite for me, but it's just so
you might be
different.
surprised. You might
Right,
find
and that's the
something.
thing. Like,
Well-
obviously, I'm addicted enough to like invite you out here, and like I've been trying to dig and
Yeah.
doing Cedar.
you'd see a lot of looping again 12 years ago, in this community, and then 4 years later, I'm seeing it done quite poorly in other genres. And then people catch up, but I'm
Yeah.
like, sometimes you see
Right.
the future of what's going to be happening more in musical stuff, and it's very
Right, yeah, and noise is a little bit of like a testing ground for like some
Yeah.
experimental stuff because you can get away with doing anything.
Yeah.
I have seen really out there sets, so like things that could barely even be called music. So like more performance art, I guess.
Well, and is there a line? I mean,
the old joke is, are they warming up or is this? Did they just send the set?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
yeah, I've had that experience before where I'm just like, I don't know if they're starting or if this is a sound
It's-
check or what, but
Yeah.
it happens. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Like some people say that it's like sort of like how punk was like way back in like the 70s.
Yeah.
It's like, who knows? Maybe in 40 years, noise will be mainstream and played out, and like everyone will be listening to it on the radio. We'll see.
It's funny because you just think there'll always be new ways to play noise. There'll be, especially because it's in it can be very technology adjacent. That's what I always think it could. It doesn't have to be, but
You can go as low tech or as high tech with it.
Yeah.
If you want. I saw a dude play like just a box of junk. Like he just had a contact mic in it, and then it was just a bunch of trash.
well, even Stud was the piece of wood. I mean,
Yeah, but his thing was like he was running that wood through like a crazy synthesizer that he programmed on his computer. So like it's like yes, that seems lo-fi, but then you go like behind the scenes and you're like, that's tech.
we're already
Right.
deep into the conversation with SEER in studio. Yes. So you were going to tell us more about High Priestess, the track we just heard, and how it was made or what it means.
Yeah.
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 We have a whole list of things. So talk fast. No, I'm just kidding.
So that one was made in like one sitting. I was waiting for the bus in downtown after my shift and was getting screamed at by a woman. And I was a little worried for my
Ooh.
safety, but I was also like, her voice is crazy good. Like, she should join like a band, Like, I was like, I don't know. Like, she yelled like that for over an hour, and it was all over the place, but like, like a lot of it actually resonated with me, like what she was saying. She was mentioning a lot of things that like were definitely like religious trauma, and as someone who was raised in the Baptist church and queer, plenty of that. So I was like, okay, I definitely like connect with this, and it sounded really good, and so I was like, I'm just gonna kind of like obfuscate it enough to where it's like not like I didn't want it to be rude. I didn't want to be like kind of like giving away any like personal information of hers or anything like that. So I chopped it up and got like just kind of like the good chunks. I also cut out kind of some of the more like homophobic things because I was like, that's not really necessary. Because that was one of the things she was screaming about, and I was like, okay, you missed me there, but you know.
You had me, and then...
had me, lost me, got me again, where's my bus?
Yes,
Yeah, and I just threw it together, had some phone recordings of like a squeaky, like rocking chair, and I was doing stuff with no input mixing board at the time, so there's like a lot of like that as like texture, which is basically just you take a mixer and plug it into itself, and give feedback loops and then do what you will with that. Yeah.
I love the power again of taking a situation that can be scary. I mean, it is scary, even when often you're as afraid for the other person as you are for themselves, especially when you start hearing what they say. Mm-hmm. But to communicate it, connect at that level. I mean, I just think taking something like that and making something beautiful, for lack of another, but something meaningful out of it. You know, I like that so much.
Yeah, and I did think about it for a while, like, is this, like, really ethical? But, yeah, at the end of the day, I was like, I feel like I appreciate it more than I'm, like, I'm not exploiting.
Right.
You know? I was like, I definitely dug what she was saying and, like, what she was doing, even if it was absolutely out there. Yeah, and maybe a little scary. Yeah.
Right, but it's compared to, like, collaging or something like that, it's like finding a button that you want to use.
Right. Yeah.
You know, even if it comes from a jacket of someone you didn't like, or you know that there's something about it that that isn't for you, that doesn't gel with you, but taking it and creating something of it. I mean, I just, especially for the times that we're in, if we can take stuff we don't like and turn it into something beautiful, that's a power that we have right now.
Right. Yeah. Definitely agree with that.
And it's. Now, if we can just beat them off with that, that'd be awesome. But in a way, because
collage our way out of
it. Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, it takes a village. I was saying the main message I got from the rally today, the hands-off mass mobilization, was that the power is the people. The people is the power, and however that presents itself, I think is really what we all need. You will connect with somebody your art will connect with somebody who wouldn't have been able to understand the woman in the bus stop. But in some weird cosmic way, there'll be a connection between them that neither of them will ever know about, but they will be impacted by each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how that's how I can love noise, because I can
Oh yeah.
Because I've read. I mean, I really do. I mean, I think that there is something to it too, especially if we are making it with a certain ethos in mind.
Right. I wanted the intention to be good. You know, I was like, I didn't want it to like be coming from any sort of place of like, oh, like look at this is funny. I was like, no, this woman, I relate to that.
Yeah.
I
mean, and that is that moment that some people don't experience, or they don't take the time to realize that person is as afraid as I am, or that person is in a bad way, or whatever it is, know, that we share a humanity.
We're all kind of that person at some level.
At some point.
Yeah, it's just, empathy is definitely big there. So I definitely felt for, until she started screaming some stuff that was a little less agreeable to me, but whatever.
Less empathetic.
Yes.
Or empathetical or whatever that were. Easy to empathize with. And I'm going to shift target immediately to ask about the upcoming shows.
Yeah.
How's that for a transition?
Plug the upcoming shows. So I don't have any upcoming solo noise shows. The one that I had at Zora Darling was my first experience booking, and I will be trying to book out more noise shows.
Yay!
I want to find more people that are, you know, starting to do like that type of music, and give them like a place to like perform. And also I want to like honestly just like have more noise shows happening, like, because I feel like there could always be a little bit more, at least right now. And I will probably try, like, after summer dies down a bit, to like get a couple more of those on the books. I'll be annoying as hell on Instagram about it, so
Good for you.
trust me, I'll be posting. But the next show that my duo Ask Serpent, which veers into noise, but is a little more on the experimental side, is 419 at Silver Plus. Reach out to us at Ask Serpent on Instagram, or me at Seer the Magician on Instagram for details there. It's a house show, so, you know, a little more low-key, but we have a really cool lineup. Bringing some friends in from Fargo that we saw play at Fargo Noise Fest that just rule. And then a little bit bigger venue, we have the Cedar on the 27th of April, and that's going to be with Noise Legends Boydert Car, and a bunch of other really cool artists. So that's like a 6-artist bill, so that one will be a good time. Yeah, love the Cedar.
Well, and I think 6 bands for a noise show is the way to do it, because you get a smorgasbord, because as you said, they're all different.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's loosely noise. Like,
Yeah.
the show is called Noise Party. I know that there's a couple people on there that maybe wouldn't identify 100% as noise, but who knows what they're going to be doing. But yeah, that'll be a fun time, and it'll be like you said, like a little sampler. And also, I'm not playing it, but I will be there next week to celebrate my birthday on 4/10. And also the return of Tourniquet, which is one of the like longer running like recurring
that
noise
has certainly
series
been
here.
around for 12, 15 years. Yeah.
And that was that's one of my favorite like series that's going on. So at the Red Sea next Thursday, Boydert Car's playing, a bunch of other really cool people are playing. And I'm just gonna go to support and have a fun time and listen
And have
to
a happy
noise.
birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy birthday. That's awesome.
Exactly.
If someone wanted to know more about the upcoming noise shows, where would you suggest they?
Follow people on Instagram that do that. Honestly, I think maybe to a little bit of a fault, a lot of noise musicians aren't necessarily 100% great at the marketing thing, which makes sense. But yeah, like you kind of just got to look for it on Instagram. Enter the Void is a great recurring series put on by Xochi, and she'll often have people that veer into noise on there. So that's a good jumping off point. There's Noise Party, which gets into the like noisier side of things a lot of times, and Tourniquet, which are 3 like great like kind of ways to find the artists that are doing that around here. So check out like Instagram pages. That's what I do. I go on Undercurrent if I want to.
Well,
you know,
and we always like to take a full minute to give a shout out to Gravy and Undercurrent, because
Yeah.
that is made me the laziest show goer. I just wake up in the morning,
makes
see
it
what
so
Gravy has
easy.
put out there for me. I see which of them are in St. Paul, and then that's where I go.
Love to see more noise in St. Paul.
I mean, and then I think the White Squirrel would be a good place for it, because that's a.
Yeah, I loved playing the White Squirrel. I've seen a good amount of noise there.
Well, Enter the Void had a residency there
Who did?
Enter the Void. This is where my brain is.
Yeah, that was recurring for a while there.
Yeah.
Now they're at Can, which is still technically St. Paul, but it doesn't really feel like it.
I can't walk there.
No,
that
exactly.
is the definition to me. I
You
can't
can walk.
I could walk.
It'd be a rough walk, though.
It would be a rough walk
It wouldn't
for
be
sure.
pleasant.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's like a good way to, kind of get into some shows and see what's up, and then talk to people, and they'll tell you where the other things are going down. Yeah. I think that's that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. I know we want to play one more, but I also know that you've got to be to work, so I'm trying to be respectful of it. It's getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boss will be fine.
I don't want you to be late on my account. I'll just say it there.
Sounds good.
Remind folks where they can find you on Instagram, because it's an unusual spelling.
Yeah, so it's SEER the Magician, but it's MAGICKIAN. I'm also on Blue Sky under the same handle. SEER333 on Bandcamp, no space. Just find the link in one of my bios. That's the easiest way to get there. And Ask Serpent on Instagram is going to be like my duo, which is the one that's more active in terms of shows for sure. Yeah.
And do you have any shows with Ask Serpent that are coming up?
Yeah, those are going to be the two
ones
that I mentioned.
Yes.
Both of those are duo shows. No solo on the calendar yet, but it will happen. I'm sure of it.
I think you should make that happen. Some of the favorite noise shows that I've seen have been sort of site specific, kind of in the summer, under a bridge or just something like that.
My first solo show was on the Mississippi River on a beach. It was a generator show, and I was like, I can't get a better first show experience.
Do you mind if I ask where it was? Was it by the U?
Kind of, but it was like on the water in like I think August-ish or something last year.
Were you there?
No, you know what's funny? I wasn't there. I walk a ton. I walk in the summer. I probably walk 10 miles, but I've seen events that were down there.
Yeah.
And I was think, but then again, hello, fellow youths. I don't need to be showing up at that. But assuming this is the same group of folks, if not the same show. I mean, it looks like it's fun, loud enough, and
Oh yeah, I thought the sound was great. I like playing outdoors. For some reason, I feel like the sound is like almost best outdoors, but I don't know.
And it's kind of near the rowing club.
I have no.
Yeah,
idea.
it is kind of near the rowing club. I mean, if I'm thinking of the right place,
Yeah, it was just a random part of the beach. I couldn't tell you. I had to follow coordinates, and I was like, I feel like I'm like geocaching. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's St. Paul. Last time,
Yeah, it was fun though. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. Well, tell us about what are we going to listen to from you?
Do you want to do World on Fire? Or do you have a different one?
If you'd like to play a little bit of a longer one, that one might be fun for you. Yeah.
All right, we'll play that. But tell us a little bit about that.
So it's the Ink Spots, which is like sort of doo-woppy, like older music. I think the song was in like a Fallout game or a show or something. I think that's where a lot of people my age know it from. But it's a banger. And what I did, so that's a track I made for a compilation for the Women of Noise, which is a Discord server and kind of group.
That's awesome because
on Instagram, yeah, and
that is an underrepresented, or that was an underrepresented.
Yeah, they're very active.
Group.
There's a lot of members in it. So I'm part of that, and I basically made it by sampling footage from the LA wildfires, and the song "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire." And the compilation was a LA wildfire relief fund, so all the money from the compilation went to
awesome.
mutual helping people there. You can get that still on Bandcamp, but go on the Women of Noise page to figure out paying for it, because they want you to not buy it on Bandcamp so that they can send the money directly to people.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what's going on there. But yeah, so that's what I made this for, and I like it. It's definitely a little more chill than a lot of the stuff I do. I'd say it borders on wall, but it's short, so it's maybe fence. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of droney, sort of harsh noise wall, sort of ambient. I don't know.
That might be just what I need after my last 24 hours.
Ambient
that
for the stuff
perfect
I do.
to me.
Yeah.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Again, Seer, thank you so much. This has been
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys at maybe some noise shows.
Maybe the 27th.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sweet.
I'll stop this.
I'm going to put myself to work.